Hey there, and happy Friday. Today I had an osmosis, which is something my company does every Friday, where we get to share a passion. And I decided to share something around the print on demand stuff that I've been doing. So I'd like to share that with you now. I've cut it down, to the parts that I can share that's not, company specific. But I think the workflow is pretty cool. So I'll walk you through, start to finish, my workflow in creating products. And I create a product live and publish it that you can check out. So if you're interested in print on demand, this is well worth the watch. It'll show you how to go from idea using AI throughout the entire process to generate and promote the products. Hope you have a great day, and here's the demo. So I've been into CAD and parametric design for years, but I always wanted to scratch the itch to do more around design. I can do some CSS and HTML layouts, and I've developed designed some applications over the years. But as with many of my hobbies, the tooling and services I use cost money. So I try to find ways to recoup that cost by selling goods. And until last year, making money from my artwork that I generate felt different. Making an end table for someone to afford a better saw, or trying to sell a 3D print that I had made, felt right because the person got a tangible thing in the end, unrelated to my artwork or skill. They still got wood, they still got plastic, things like that. But my art didn't feel that like that. So I hadn't been selling things with my art to recoup the cost of the tooling and services that I use. Well, last year I discovered print on demand um, in a way that I could use it that made money, and so that's what I do. The AI tools that I use, Photoshop, all of those kind of things cost money, and so I wanted to be able to recoup that cost for my hobbies. So that's what I'm going to talk about today is the what Pod is, how to set it up, and then we're going to work through creating a product live together. So today we're going to go through a couple of terms high level, describe the industry and what I really wanted to do, and again create a product at the end, show you my workflow from kind of start to end. Now the product that we generate, I may not leave up because I typically do a lot of editing to the artwork that I generate. But today we'll try to go through it as concisely as possible. Lots of people may think print on demand is just books and photos like a FedEx Kinko shop or Staples, but it's way more than that. Print on demand is actually about merch. So think t-shirts, stickers, mugs, mouse pads, you name it. If you've got artwork, you can get it printed on things. And until recently, that would cost you a whole lot of money to do. You'd have to run off like 500 of something in order to get the price point to a point to where you could say this custom thing was worth the money and I could resell it. But with print on demand, all of that changed. Print on demand is a service where, much like my opening slide, if you have a piece of artwork and you want to place it on a product, the print on demand service will print it on the product at the time that the customer purchases the product from you. And they handle everything from making the product to shipping it to the customer and even returns. This graphic is from Printful, which is a print on demand supplier, and it kind of goes through the life cycle of an order. So when somebody buys something from your store then places the order with the print on demand supplier, which is Printful in this case. They make the product, ship it, package it up, and ship it to the customer. And then you kind of split the proceeds from that. So you can take an idea, generate the media, find a vendor, set up a shop, set up promotions, and then just sit back and collect the money over time. Seems pretty awesome, right? But there are different ways that print on demand can work. And so there's kind of these three silos that I bucket them in. The first one is a marketplace where the company owns the platform that you're selling through, and they handle fulfillment and sending and returns all in one. So basically, you upload your artwork, place it on a product, and then they handle the rest of it, even promotions and things like that. Um, the way that works is you don't have any upfront cost. You just put the item in the store. If your item sells, then you get a commission on that sale. The second bucket is a just-in-time shop or fulfillment, and that's very similar to the first graphic we showed. You own the store, and you're using the print-on-demand supplier as a service provider. So when a customer places an order through your store, it then gets sent to the service provider. They manufacture and ship the item to the customer. You pay for that up front, and then you recoup the cost whenever the money clears from the person who purchased the item. So basically, you're in control. You collect all the money, and then you spread it out. And then the final one is direct inventory on demand. And this one is a more advanced setup where you still own the store, but you also do the fulfillment. And the print on demand service ships the items to you. You can order in bulk to get reduced pricing. And so companies like Sticker Mule and Custom Ink do this. In fact, most of our shirts here that has Osmo on them have come from Custom Ink in this manner. Osmo places a bulk order, Custom Ink sends it to Osmo, and then Osmo distributes it to the employees. The same could work, if you replace Osmo with a store. So with those three, I've played around with all three of these, and I'll show you examples of those. So let's get into making a product. So I'll have to stop sharing and then share my screen. All right. So I have multiple stores, but I have Redbubble, which is my first bucket of I can just upload items and sell them there. I have the Modern.Magician store, which is a Shopify store that goes through multiple print-on-demand service providers. So, like a case in this is like this Roboticist Dreams Kids Crew shirt is through a company called Printful, and then this Roboticist Sleepwear is through a company called Awkward Designs. So that even though they're two different print-on-demand services behind the scenes, to my customers, it looks just like me. Like I'm doing the fulfillment to them. And then I also have an Etsy shop where I actually buy sticker sets and kind of keep them on hand in order to send them out. So things like this little Fritz sticker here, or uh, these little stickers of the Sasquatch. We have where I buy a bulk of those and then I can hand them out or sell them through my other stores. I also have a TikTok shop and things like that. My workflow typically begins with ChatGPT. So with my products, I try to do a 95% AI generated product, and the 5% in between is me moving things through the workflow. So I come up with the idea. I get ChatGPT to help me hone that idea and generate an image. Then I go into Photoshop and refine it, and then I upload it to the store. So in this case, my prompt here is I'm having ChatGPT refine my concept and ideas into a prompt that I can just paste into Midjourney and start with. So the prompt here gives it some rules around what it can generate. So I give it the format of the prompt that I expect, and I give it, what I explain what Midjourney is, and then I give it a concept that I'm thinking about. In this case, I want to do an astronaut painting on a canvas where the painting on the canvas is a galaxy. So if you can think about it, the astronauts, Bob Ross in it, painting up something, and that painting that he's making is a galaxy, like he's longing to go to the galaxy. And so I've given it some modifiers that he should be in a field of flowers. Canvas should be on a stand. I'm looking for vector art and clean lines. I want it to be on a T-shirt or a Kiss Cut sticker. And then if I have ChatGPT generate this, you can see that it generates the prompt for me that I can place into Midjourney. And so I can take this. I'm gonna probably have to take out the quotations, but let's just include them for now. If I go into Midjourney and I say /imagine and I paste all of that in, it'll actually go through and generate art for me. And it can take a second. I should have put in super quick for it so it would generate it faster. There we go. So as this is generating, I'll go ahead and show some of the previous things that I've done. So like this dev sticker in Python or the magician sticker. Y'all seen all of the birthday things that I've generated over time. Um, let's take this one for example, this adventure awaits, which was for the most recent birthday. I generated the artwork, but as you can see, I did have to do quite a bit to it in order to get it to generate other things that fit into it. So Midjourney got the person and the scene right, but the text that it had generated was just wrong. So I wanted to put extra text in there. Somebody requested that I put a hat in. So all of that is things that I changed from the generation. Other items on here is like Brian's birthday picture, where I had it generate Brian, but then I had to put it into the actual scene of I grabbed a YouTube clip of him and then had it put it in there. So that's another example where I took something that Midjourney generated and then placed it somewhere else. Got it to generate multiple assets. Um, let's see if it's done yet. All right. So now we have some pretty cool designs. None of these are exactly what I was looking for, but I can play around with the prompt and get better results. But let's say we take this upper right image here and continue with that. So I'll just upscale that. Hopefully it kicks off pretty quick. These are generally pretty fast to upscale. There we go. I can take this image and plop it into Photoshop. Now you'll notice that the image that it generates is pretty small. It's 816 by 1450, which for a T-shirt or a printable, this is pretty lightweight. There's also some issues with the image that I'd want to take out. So I'd probably want to take out this staff looking item here. And in Photoshop now, there's AI to where I can just say generate a fill for that. And it'll go through and just generate based on the surrounding items. So now it's gotten rid of that. We can also go through and say, okay, this is probably not the best size. So I'm looking for the crop tool. And I'm going to expand it out a little bit. I'm still doing good on time. I don't know if y'all have seen videos of this, but this new generative fill in Photoshop is pretty awesome. It'll actually take the signal from the middle image and fill in the surrounding areas. And it'll do it in the style of the middle image. All right, so now we've got a pretty wide photo of that. I can take and save that out. Let's go ahead and export it. And I could increase the size here and let Photoshop increase the size of this, but for this, I'll show you another trick. It's in beta right now. All right, so I've saved that out. Now, instead of using the upscaler for Photoshop, or that Photoshop has, which is pretty good, and I've used it to scale up some, I can actually use AI to scale it up 2x or 4x if I wanted to. And so if I submit this here, it'll actually take this image and just double it in size. And it uses AI to try to make sure that faces and things like that don't get distorted whenever it upscales it. So it does a better job than just like bicubic sampling. And normally this is pretty quick as well, but it seems like everything goes slow when you're trying to demo it. Come on. If nothing else, we can go back in Photoshop and just use that. But know that that's another thing that I'll typically try to do. All right, so in here, you can have different resamplers. Like nearest neighbor is probably the one that I want to use for this to capture the paint particles. And then I can just upsize this to say 3,000, which is 167%. And we'll export that. All right, just to continue on the journey. So now I'll go into Redbubble. And if you remember, Redbubble is one where you can just add your work, place it on items, and then they sell it for you. So once we're done with this, we shouldn't have to actually do anything to sell it. So now I'm going to say we want to use our Astronaut 2X, and it's uploading the art. And then it gives us all of the different products that we can place that art on. So one of these that I really like is these chiffon tops, where I can say, okay, the image is kind of scaled up, but it's not scaled enough to where it would fit across the entire shirt. I could go through and have Photoshop fill in around it to increase it even further if I wanted to. Or I could use a pattern. So some of my items are patterns where I use a background pattern to fill and then have the artwork there. But for now, that's not going to look good on there having all this white space around it. So let's go and just make a regular t-shirt and a hat. Those placements look good. There's some stickers, phone cases. So if we look at the phone case, you can see it fits really well into a phone case or a mouse pad or a pillow or any of that. We can even come down here, and one of the other ones I like to make is the mini skirt. So if I enable that, you can see there's a mini skirt with the artwork placed on it, and I can move it around if I wanted the astronaut to be more on the right or whatever, and it'll update that. All right. So we've got our design, we've got it placed on products. Now we need a title and title tags and description. Where do you think I go for that? I go right back to ChatGPT. Since it already knows the concept, I go, great. Now I need an SEO optimized title, description, and keywords for this artwork. And as you can see, ChatGPT will generate exactly what I need for this. And I may go through and edit it if it doesn't match the generated art. You can also go through in Midjourney, and since I have this saved now, I can say describe and upload the image that we generated and have Midjourney describe to us the image. Come on. So Midjourney can describe this image, and I can use this to actually go back to ChatGPT and say, no, refine it to this because this is what was actually generated. But for now, we'll take what ChatGPT put out, and I'll paste the title in. I will paste the description in, even though even though this description doesn't match, I can then say the so it's basically you're talking back and forth through it, and it'll update it based on what you input. So now we have a different description, one that better matches what we needed to put in. And I have the keywords from here that I can just copy and paste in. Oh, I put them in the wrong places. Sorry, they're in the wrong fields. All right, so we've got all that. We've got our designs done. Now all I need to do is say, what type of design is this? And I typically will do design and illustration and digital art. I could put it in a collection if I wanted to. Collections are like, you know, buttons in my store that people can click on and see like collections underneath it. I have one for like music inspired and stuff like that. I can also say, is it mature or not? Who is it visible for? And then I agree to publish it and that this artwork is mine. So it's going to add this work to it. And we're not done yet, because even though Redbubble handles all of the sales for this item, I still like to go out and promote it to try to drive traffic to Redbubble. And they have tools that help me do that. So you can see we've added the artwork now. It may take a minute or two to show up, but we should be able to view it on the Redbubble store. And I'll copy this link and paste it in chat so you guys can see it. Oh, and Michaela, Redbubble doesn't do full bleed. Um, it, if you saw, there's black sleeves and stuff. They'll do the full front, but the whole back of the shirt is just black. There is print all over stuff. All right, so now we can see all of our products, and you can see they're on actual mock-ups here. If I go back to the promote tab, we can see the same thing. But let's say that skirt, I wanted to promote it. I can go and say download images for this, and they've generated mock-ups for me for that particular skirt. If I wanted to do, say, the iPhone case, and I go to download images, it's going to show you all of the different images that I could download and use in my social media campaigns to do this. And again, you can also have GPT write a social media campaign. And as you can see, it even included relevant hashtags to that. So if I wanted to promote this, I could go to my Twitter and I could copy that in, and then I would put in uh, the link to here, and then I would just take on that promote tab, let's say this one, and just paste it in. And now we've went from an idea to generating a product to creating the information, the metadata around that product, to publishing it out to the world. So that's what I wanted to show y'all today. Yeah, so the only thing that I would say in addition to what I said here is, if you have a hobby and you're trying to turn it into something, or the tools and services cost money around that hobby, try and produce a product that you can sell, so that you can recoup the cost for that and continue making. This is all about learning new stuff and diving into new territory. So just like 3D printing and other things, make sure that you're recouping some of that cost, so that it's not just I'm making something for me. I'm actually getting the tools and processes in place to sustain making as I go. And that goes for 3D printing, it goes for CNCing and laser cutting and all of the stuff that I do. I may not try to sell big. I'm not trying to create a company or anything, but just recoup the cost of those tools through selling products. Have a great weekend. I'll see y'all all in the next one.